It was supposed to be a quiet evening. I had just returned to my city after 6 months abroad. My family's hotel, the Grand Marlowe, was my pride. A 5-star property built by my late father, now fully under my name. But I prefer to stay low-key. I never liked showing off my wealth. I wore simple clothes, drove an old car, and treated everyone equally. That day, I decided to visit the hotel unannounced, just to see how things were running when management didn't know the owner was watching. I walked the grand glass doors wearing a plain shirt and jeans, a small backpack over my shoulder. The receptionist barely looked up from her phone when I greeted her. "Good evening," I said politely. "I'd like a room for one night, please." She finally glanced at me, scanning my clothes from top to bottom. Her smile faded. "Sir," she said with a forced tone, "our rooms start at $1,200 a night. Perhaps you're looking for the Greenway and down the road." I blinked. "No, I like a room here. I can pay." She sighed and motioned to the security guard nearby. "Please escort this gentleman to the lobby exit. We don't allow solicitors or tourists to loiter." I froze. People in the lobby turned to stare. My ears burned. Me, the owner of the hotel, being thrown out of my own building. The guard stepped forward, polite but firm. "Sir, please don't make a scene." I smiled tightly. No scene at all. But I wasn't leaving. Not yet. I wanted to see how far this humiliation would go. I walked to the bar area instead. The bartender looked at me skeptically. "Can I get a coffee?" I asked. He looked at my old backpack. "We have a minimum order policy, sir. Only hotel guests can sit here." Guests nearby whispered. A man in a designer suit smirked and said loudly, "He's probably here to take selfies in the lobby." Laughter rippled through the crowd. My blood boiled, but I stayed silent. 9 minutes. That's how long I sat there before I finally decided to make a call. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. "Mr. Patel?" I said calmly when my general manager answered. "Could you come to the lobby right now, please? There's something I'd like you to see." His tone immediately shifted. "Sir, you're here? I'll be there in 2 minutes." The same receptionist who had dismissed me now leaned forward, confused. "Sir, do you have an appointment with someone?" I smiled faintly. "Yes, the person who signs your paychecks." Within moments, the elevator doors opened. Mr. Patel rushed out, adjusting his tie, sweating nervously. "Mr. Rohan, I'm so sorry, sir. We weren't informed of your visit." Every head in the lobby turned. The laughter stopped. The bartender froze mid-motion. The receptionist's eyes went wide. "Mr. Rohan? The owner?" Patel nodded quickly, bowing slightly. "Yes, this is Mr. Rohan Mehra, owner of the Grand Marlowe." The color drained from her face. She stammered, "Yes, sir, I didn't recognize you. I thought you were..." "Poor?" I asked quietly. She lowered her head, tears forming in her eyes. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean..." I raised a hand. "No, you did mean it. You judged me by what I looked like." The entire lobby was silent. Even the guests who had laughed earlier looked uncomfortable. Patel started to speak, but I interrupted. "No, let her stay. Everyone here should hear this." I turned toward the staff and the guests. This hotel was built by my father, a man who started with nothing. He served tea, washed dishes, and dreamed of a place where no one would ever be judged for how they looked. That dream became the Grand Marlowe. My voice grew firm. And today in his hotel, his own son was humiliated for wearing simple clothes. "You've forgotten what hospitality means." The receptionist burst into tears. "Please, sir, I'll accept any punishment." I looked at her for a long moment, then sighed. "Everyone makes mistakes. You're not fired. But starting tomorrow, every staff member will attend empathy training. And your first lesson begins now." I gestured toward an elderly man sitting quietly in the corner. "That man right there, he's been coming here for years. He was my father's friend when they both worked as janitors. Every time he visits, he's treated with respect, because we remember who we are." She nodded through tears. "Yes, sir, I understand." I smiled faintly and turned back to Patel. And one more thing. I'll be staying here for a week. But this time, I'll register under a different name, just so I can keep an eye on things. Patel nodded quickly. Of course, sir. As I walked toward the elevator, whispers followed, but not laughter anymore. Just quiet shame and respect. 9 minutes earlier, I'd been humiliated as a poor man. Now, they watched me as the man who owned every chandelier, every carpet, every key in that building. When I reached my suite, I stood by the window, looking down at the city lights. My heart was heavy, not with anger, but disappointment. Money can build walls of gold, I thought, but kindness, that builds something far greater. The next morning, I went downstairs again, dressed the same way. And when I smiled at the staff, they all greeted me back with warmth. That's when I knew the lesson had sunk in. 9 minutes of humiliation had changed the soul of my father's hotel forever.